You're listening to Finish the Damn Book, the podcast for procrastinators. Susie Schaefer, known as the Book Doula, works with authors and publishing professionals to turn stories into movements that make an impact.
Welcome to this episode of Finish the Damn Book. I'm your host, Susie Schaefer. Anne Bartolucci, PhD, is a writing mentor, USA Today bestselling author, and psychologist. She has over 20 novels and novellas in print and under her pen name, Cecilia Dominic, and 2 nonfiction books, including Better Sleep for the Overachiever as herself. She combines her love of creativity and psychology in her company, Psych Up Academy, where she guides heart-centered entrepreneurs from the inkling of an idea to their first draft of their world and business-changing books. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Susie. I'm happy to be here.
I was just saying before we started that I'm so fascinated by all the hats that you wear. So as a writing mentor, what types of clients do you work with? And is there crossover between the work as an author coach and a psychologist?
Yeah, great question. And interestingly, the way I started being a writing mentor was helping other mental health professionals with their books. And so I've had a lot of those. I have helped a lot of, coaches, especially the ones who are in the kind of more spiritual, woo or woo adjacent fields. And also, and then a couple of just like straight business books, which has been interesting. So it's been a little bit of everything. And yes, I definitely find both as a psychologist and as an author, it's been interesting because, of course, authors, as you well know from your podcast, struggle from imposter syndrome and procrastination. And, in psychology language, we would call that, cognitive distortions and fused thinking. And so there is definitely a lot of crossover. Actually, I just gave a 3-hour CE class on procrastination, or how to try to not do procrastination, because nobody needs a class on how to procrastinate. And really. But yeah, and it was all very cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness-based therapy techniques and methods.
Oh my gosh, that's thrilling and so exciting. And you're right. I really love the whole dabbling in like psychology, but then also the spirituality. And of course, I'm very woo. And I like the woo adjacent term as well. But it's fun because I think a lot of the woo is when it goes back to psychology, a lot of it. So it's kind of fascinating that you kind of created a niche for yourself just because of how you got here, right?
Yes, thank you. And interestingly, yes, psychology came out of the woo. Like I have another course that I have actually a layperson version of, and I actually do have a layperson version of the procrastination one as well, but called Hysteria and the Occult in Victorian Times. And yeah, psychology, psychotherapy, like it came out of things like mesmerism and yeah, lots of interesting things the Victorians were doing. And even the basics such as establishing a therapeutic relationship, well, that was one of the principles with mesmerists and hypnotists to connect with their clients.
God, so fascinating. And that's also the time of Tesla, too, when you think about it. We're looking at, basically free energy and things like that. And that's a very woo topic, but it's now becoming a little more popular these days. And so I think the woo is expanding and being able to merge the woo with the psychology of it. I think this is where the future we're going to go, because I kind of think we have to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, how quantum physics and all of that comes into the field of psychology. I will admit that psychologists you would think that they would be great about adopting new things, but many of them are not.
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they're too rooted in the traditional medicine?
I suspect it's because we've had to fight for legitimacy in this very Western medical just take a pill for it world.
Yep.
And so it's like, if we're going to do something, it needs to be very scientifically based. It needs to be, have these great rigorous studies behind it. And as you know, in the world of the woo, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah. I'm a big firm believer in heal thyself. So that's that's what my thought process is. So let's talk about your book. I love the title, Better Sleep for the Overachiever. Your tagline on that page on your website is online psychology courses to help you live your dreams. How did that book play a role in your professional endeavors? Like, was that the tie-in for you, or was that an offshoot after you kind of like went into psychology?
It was definitely an offshoot. I got my PhD in just regular clinical psychology, and then I did my extra training and certification in behavioral sleep medicine. And then Better Sleep for the Overachiever came about 10 years after I'd been in full-time private practice, based on conversations I had repeatedly with my clients. And, people are tired of the same old sleep advice. And so there's only one chapter of that in there. The rest of it focuses on things like procrastination and other things that happen during the day that affects how we sleep at night.
I definitely have to read your book because as I've gotten into my 50s, sleep is just, it's very elusive. I think as we age and as we are navigating hormonal changes and things like that too,
Mhm.
it really affects your sleep. I'm definitely going to be reading your book and likely recommending it to many people. The Psych Up Academy, talk about what services you offer through that platform.
Yes, you really are hitting all of the things.
Well, I was
Uh,
like, I want to know all about all the hats and what you do.
right. So speaking of, I'm almost 50 and I'm thinking I'm having a little hot flash right now.
Oh,
So
it happens. But also there's a weird
yeah.
thing that happens too. Like once you've kind of gotten through like menopause, there's also a spiritual thing. And my girlfriends and I talk about this all the time because it's not like a hot flash, but you get a spiritual, like it's like when you get a download, but you get this heat. There's
Oh,
also the spiritual hot flashes that happen too. And it's kind of weird. But after you get through menopause and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of like just continuing, but they feel different.
okay, I can deal with that. 'Cause right now I have to, like, the spiritual side of my menopause is like stuff keeps breaking around me.
Yeah, that's a thing too. Let me pause here for just a moment. Because if you're listening and thinking, I've started something, or I know I meant to write a book, but I just can't seem to move it forward, you're not alone. That's where so many people get stuck, not in the idea, but in knowing what to do next. That's exactly why I created Finish the Book Publishing. I help people take what they've started or what's been sitting on their heart and move it all the way through to a finished, published book with clarity, structure, and the kind of support that keeps you moving. So if that's been on your mind, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com. We'll get back to that question in a minute, like the question I have, because I want to talk about this. It's really interesting because of where we're at with the astrology that's happening and just the spiritual awakening everybody's going through right now. There are a lot of weird things. Actually lost an earring earlier today, and it was like, where did it go? And it,
Hmm.
it should not have disappeared. So I just put it out there, said, if it's meant to come back to me, it will. I hope it does. But there's all kinds of things that happen, like you said, breaking things, misplacing things. We've had many timeline jumps, which can also create like Mandela effects, and all that fun stuff is going on. You know,
Oh yeah.
let's go back to my question.
Yeah.
It's like Academy.
Yes. So I do something a little bit different from, I think, pretty much any other book coach out there, because I combine the fun and magic and the myth and fairy tale elements and structure of fiction with the writing of nonfiction. A lot of times people, they want to write their nonfiction book, but they get all up in their head like it's going to be too hard or it's not going to be fun and this is just going to be a slog. And when you go into it with that attitude, it comes through and it's going to be a slog for your readers. So what I do, because I have written so much fiction, of course, I've always been a mythology geek. I bring that myth and fairy tale underpinnings to nonfiction to help authors, both enjoy the process, because it's nice because people like having that underlying structure. It's our minds like puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And also it helps to bring the reader along better. So it really contributes to the reading experience through the structure as well.
I love that because I think that, and I was talking just the other day about this too, that writers tend to do a good job at the beginning of the book and the end of the book, and then the middle is just like the thoughts
Hmm.
aren't connected. It's disjointed. It's like it's a slog for the reader to get through. The chapter's not, there's no flow. And so I love that you have that as a process because I think that's how authors can better engage in order to get through that middle part of the book that is so challenging.
Yeah. And it's funny, they talk about the mushy middle in fiction, but yeah, it totally happens in nonfiction as well.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, once they almost could do like their, the 4 points that they're talking about in their book,
Hmm.
they could almost do it in like one chapter. It's like,
Right.
what else do you write about? Because you need a full book, right? So let's see here. Let's talk about intuition because it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. When obviously you were very tapped into your intuition, when is a time that you use your intuition and it turned out great, or a time that you didn't use your intuition and things fell flat, or you were saying, I should have listened, right?
Hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think about a specific time. I mean, like there have definitely been times when I have, not listened to my intuition that I have regretted it.
Mhm.
But, there was one time, okay, so fiction writing example. In my book, Eros Elements, my first steampunk novel, one of the characters has just very, like the way he dresses is about a century out of date. But, he's noble, he has a lot of money, so nobody says or thinks anything of it. Well, I was like, okay, brain, you put that in there. And, I do believe that writing is an intuitive process. And if we let it, our creativity, our creative spirit will put things in there as like, okay, it doesn't make sense now, but let's just go with it. And yeah, as it turned out, it had a very, very good reason for it. Ended up being a very core plot point in my novella, The Art of Piracy, which was part of the collection that allowed me to get the USA Today bestseller title.
There you go.
So yes, so it was me and a bunch of other authors. And yes, we worked very, very hard for it. But yeah, it was one of those great times when it was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go with it and let's just see.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that whether people realize it or not, because we all have psychic abilities, it's just how much are your abilities developed and do you practice them? Do you use them? Right. I
Hmm.
do feel like when you're writing fiction, that you're literally kind of just channeling. You're just
Hmm.
channeling and putting the words on the page, right? Like creating from the ethers.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I'm not entirely sure how much I buy it because so much of the author's experience does make it into
Yeah.
fiction as well. So I would say it's probably more of a partnership.
Ah, I like that. I think that is actually a really great way to fine tune that. I think you're right. I think it is more of a partnership. Yeah, that
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. But it's cool because you can use those abilities to actually get the ideas and then funnel that through the process. So
Yeah.
it's very cool. Have you ever had any psychic or spiritual experiences working with your clients?
Not necessarily. Okay, so I have noticed more recently that I'm a much more in tune, like when I'm meeting with somebody, whether it's a psychotherapy client or if it's a writing client, that yeah, I can definitely feel like empathically the energy. It's like, and I
Mhm.
was always able to do this, and I would get overwhelmed, but now I feel like I'm better able to work with it, maybe because I am pushing 50.
Right? Yes. Well,
How we learn these
there's
things.
our physical maturity, our emotional maturity. There's also our
Mhm.
psychic maturity too.
Yeah, and occasionally I have tuned into my intuition, and it's been like, ask the patient this, even though it doesn't really make sense. And I'm gonna, okay, this might seem out of left field, but do you have a history of such and such in your family? And yeah, it has definitely panned out and brought up some interesting information.
Yeah, that is kind of fun. Do you actually prefer to work with book clients or psychology clients?
I like them both. It's different. Like with the psychology clients, very much have to stay within my license, my scope of practice, my ethics. And I mean, I carry my ethics across all of my professions.
Yes.
With the book clients, it's a little bit more freeing because I can bring in a lot more of the woo stuff. And I can also, and I also just love working on story. It's a lot more playful.
Yeah, I would think so. You don't necessarily have the bumpers on the bowling lane kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you have specific genre? I mean, obviously you like writing fantasy and that kind of thing, but with reading, do you have a different genre that you read versus that you write?
Not necessarily because I read just about everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, like this week I've read like a fantasy. I just finished a horror slash mystery. I have a ton of nonfiction books that I've been reading through. Like other things I do, I've been studying herbalism, so I've been reading a lot of herbalism books.
That's really cool. Yeah. Have you ever done a past life regression to find out where these skills come from between the psychology and the book coaching and that type of thing?
I have done some past life work. Interestingly, I've not come up with any, previous creative careers or anything like that, but lots of at least 3 past lives as a wise woman slash
Mhm.
healer with
Yeah.
plants.
Yep. The plant healing that comes up, and that's funny too because it comes up for a lot of us that like are connected in some way, that we have all been in past lives together in some way, that we were white witches, healers. I was an oracle in a past life. That's why I use oracle decks to work with. So it sometimes is very on the nose, right? Before we move on, I want to say something to you directly. If you've been carrying the idea of a book for a while, there's a reason it hasn't been finished yet. Not because you can't do it, but because trying to do it alone keeps you in the same loop. Thinking about it, starting and stopping, second guessing what comes next. That's the gap I help close. Inside Finish the Book Publishing, I work with you to take what you've started or what you've been holding on to and guide it all the way through to a finished, published book with clarity, direction, and real momentum. So if you're ready to move this forward, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com. You may know this, but I also read for people. I love to play with the cards. I have my deck here. Would you like me to pull 3 cards for you?
I would love that.
Okay. Do you have a question in mind?
Yes, I would love to know how to focus my writing career for the best, I would say, fulfillment, but also financial success.
Okay. Let's see what we get for focusing your writing career.
Yes, I also read cards, which is why it was not a yes or no question. I'm more of a tarot girl, though.
I love that. Well, and the funny thing is that I follow a lot of tarot readers, and I actually, do have my own readings done and that kind of thing. But my guides told me stick with the oracle cards. Like I still bring in things about tarot, numerology, astrology into my readings, but they just told me stick with the oracle cards. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to listen. So, oh, this is beautiful. So your first card out is a 29, which reduces to an 11. 11 is fate, destiny. And the card you got is breathe. So this is really a beautiful card. It's really focused on, see how she's in this meditation pose? So it's really saying, it's asking you to do more meditation, really.
Okay.
There's also lots of stars around here. So that's your angels, guides, passed on loved ones, ancestors. They're coming to provide you support in that. She's also wearing a crown. And I believe that she has, let me just double check it. Yeah, she also has a blindfold on or a mask. So it's saying sometimes when we do that sensory deprivation, like blindfold ourselves, earplugs, those kinds of things when we're meditating, you'll actually be able to get stronger messages. But it's really saying tap into that crown chakra during your meditation. Now, here's what's interesting. The color is blue on this card. Blue is throat chakra. So whenever you're doing your meditation, I just got ringing in my ear. So whenever you're doing meditation, when you come out of it, be sure that you're journaling it and you're writing it down. But then if there's something you're trying to manifest, speak those words into existence, because when we speak them, it gives it like tenfold power. So it's saying that might just focus a little bit more on that. And then, like if you want to be a successful writer, what's coming next is really weird. If you want to be a successful writer, manifest it, bring it into your reality, right? Meditate on it, journal it, speaking into existence, it's going to happen for you. And with the breathe too, you may even find yourself doing a little bit of breath work to try and get that
Okay.
energy going. So very interesting. I've done 3 shows today and
Mm-hmm.
my 3rd show. And in the first 2 shows, this same card came out.
Hmm.
So, and I've shuffled the cards
Mm-hmm.
multiple times. This always tells me that when a card comes out, it's really a message for the greater listeners, but also,
Mm-hmm.
this is a lesson for all of us. So the card is a 42, 4 plus 2 is a 6. 6 is the number of the love vibration, and you
Mm-hmm.
got chop wood. So this card is all about doing the day-to-day tasks. Let me get that in the camera there.
Mm-hmm.
All about the day-to-day tasks. And when we sometimes do these tasks, for example, and I love the broom there. The broom is kind of always a nod to us being witches in a past life too.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got the banner. Banner's an indicator to me for past lives. But also when you're doing those tasks that you don't have to think about, it really does kind of put you into this meditative state because you're not thinking about the task. When you're sweeping
Mm-hmm.
the floor, you're just sweeping the floor, and it allows you to bring in the things that come into you during meditation. So when we do those tasks and we allow ourselves to just do the day-to-day work that we're here to do, the doors open and this provides you many more opportunities. So it's not about overthinking it. It's more about just doing the task and allowing yourself to step into it. Oh, this is interesting. This card has come out also once again today.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. I have a card of 70 something cards, a deck of that many.
Mm-hmm.
So the card is an 11. So you have 2 11s now. You have an 11,
Mm-hmm.
11, which is beautiful. And it's by the book, which is interesting because we're talking about books too. And
Mm-hmm.
you asked specifically about a book. So it's saying, it's got elephants. Elephants are super intuitive, very, very intelligent, but you'll notice that they are following one another, meaning don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just do things by the book, recreate with your own spin something that is going to resonate for people. And it also, you have 2 of these cards have this past life timeline on here. So
Mm-hmm.
it does go back to past lives, and the fact that you have an interest in herbalism, I would say follow that because that could be something that is new for you. You may also find herbalism coming into a part of not just your writing, but also the psychology aspect of your practice. So, but it's saying, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Do it by the book. You know, that's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's also kind of like what I said, the guardrails on the bowling alley.
Yep.
Yeah. So just don't worry about reinventing the wheel. But because you have 2 11s, this is fated and destined for you. So yeah, keep going. You're on the right track. That's just
Okay.
amazing.
Excellent. Yes, and 11 is my number this year. So that is also good to know.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I love it when synchronicities happen. It's just really
Yeah.
cool. So, okay. Okay, so how can people find you and work with you, whether it's writing a book, whether it's um, the academy, like there's so many ways that
Mhm.
people can work with you. So give us all your deets.
All right. So I would say for people who are interested in talking with me about writing a book, and I do a 30-minute idea clarification session.
Love it.
Yes. You can find me at Psych Up Academy. I will also do a 1-card tarot card reading to answer people, writing or publishing questions. And I will it's a Google form. I will give that link to you. And so I send people back, I will do a card pull and I will send people back a picture of the card and a written response. And also, yes, you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Love it. This is awesome. This is so great. Do you have any last words of wisdom for people that you think they need to hear about or that they need to know when writing a book or, working in their own with their own psychology, right?
Okay, let me see what intuition's telling me to say. So it's break the rules, but don't break the bank.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's, you don't have to follow all of the gurus. You don't have to follow all of the advice. You don't have to buy all of the courses. You can find your own path. You don't have to do it like everybody else does it. Yes, guidance is good, but be discerning.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That actually kind of goes hand in hand with this by the book too, because in the reverse, this card is about, you know, be unique, be different. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of, but thank you so much. It has been so lovely chatting with you, and it's always lovely to connect with another intuitive slash witchy person.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. We're here for a reason.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Anna. I will see you soon, I'm sure. And if you found this interesting, I encourage you to join me for the next episode and be sure to subscribe. Until then, keep on writing so you can finish the damn book. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Finish the Damn Book, hosted by Susie Schaefer. If you're serious about finishing the damn book and want to explore what that could look like for you, your next step is a conversation. You can book a consultation at finishthebookpublishing.com and find out what it would take to move your book forward.